Okay, so I've done my best to distill the essence of my question without the story, which is basically a physical experience I'm having of poor quality sleep over quite a period of time. And so...
well, that's because you're trying to sleep too much.
Trying.
Yeah,
There's a lot of trying.
Yeah, don't. If you can't sleep, get up. Because when you can't sleep and you try to sleep, you practice not being able to sleep.
Right.
So pretty obvious, isn't it? So as you say, well, I can't sleep, therefore I am not going to sleep, and then you just focus on things that take the path of least resistance. The path of least resistance when you can't sleep is not trying to sleep. That's the path of greater resistance. Does that make sense? A little bit of sense?
It does. It's hard to imagine getting up when the thing you're wanting the most is to be able to fall asleep. It's hard to imagine.
But let's talk about that. The thing I want the most
in that moment
is to be asleep because why?
What I'm wanting is to feel rested and vital in the following day.
But you see, you have no power in the following day. All of your power is right here and now. You can't find the path of... So what you're saying is, I need the path of least resistance for tomorrow. And the path of least of resistance for tomorrow is to be rested. But you can't do anything about tomorrow. You can only choose your path right here and now. Mm-hmm. That's like embarking on a 1,200-mile journey and trying to figure out what turn you're going to make at the end instead of what you're going to do right now. That's like looking at the screen on your navigational system instead of where you're at. You ever find yourself doing that? Hey, you almost hit that car. He wasn't on my screen. You missed that red light. It wasn't on my navigational screen. My navigational screen said go, so I did. We're mocking you. But you get the reason why? You cannot find the path of least resistance for tomorrow. And when you try, you get all balled up. You can only find the path of least resistance now. So what's the path of least resistance? So let's say you feel desperate for sleep because you've convinced yourself that tomorrow's going to be hard. Mm-hmm. So you feel desperate for sleep. What's the path of least resistance? I can't sleep, or I must not need to sleep.
I must not need to.
Now, that was a hard choice for you, but it was a choice that you made that is in alignment with where you would be in that situation. Mm-hmm. Must not need to sleep. Which is the path of least resistance? I'm going to be so tired tomorrow, or I don't have any power over tomorrow, I only have power over now. Which is the path of least resistance? I can't sleep, or it's nice to just lie here. Mm-hmm. Which is the path of least resistance? Tomorrow's going to be really hard, or this bed is really soft. Mm-hmm. Which is the path of least resistance? You see what we're getting at? Mm-hmm. Which is the path of least resistance? I'm going to be so tired tomorrow, or there's nothing that I have to do right now. Which is the path of least resistance? I'm going to be groggy and tired tomorrow, or I have nothing that I have to be alert to right now. See what we're getting at? Path of least resistance. I'm in bed and I'm not sleeping. What might I do? I can feel the bed. I can appreciate the blanket or the pillow. I can worry about tomorrow, but that's not the path of least resistance. Or I can just appreciate the bed. Not hitting it too head on, like to say something like, well, I will fall asleep. That's hitting it too head on. That's adding more resistance. Which is the path of least resistance? I've got to get to sleep, or I have plenty of time. Which is the path of least resistance? I never sleep well, or my body is resting even though I'm not asleep. What's the path of least resistance? Tomorrow feels hard. Tonight feels easier. Sometimes when Esther awakens, because she's finding she requires less and less sleep all the time, so she'll awaken, and part of her says, it's too early to wake up, which is resistant. And then another part of her thinks, I'll just lie here and think pleasant thoughts. And so now she's convinced herself, by choosing path of least resistance, of the luxury of just being able to choose thoughts. Ooh, so great. Nobody's making any requests of me. There isn't anything that I need to be doing. So when you think in terms of vibration, and then the next, we're talking about turning vibration into things. We're talking about the progression of vibration. Vibration, and then the next is thought and emotion, and then the next is impulse to act. So when you think about that evolution of vibration and thought, and you're awake and you're realizing there's no action that I have to do. I don't have to get up and do anything. There's nothing that I have to do. And I can't tonight in my bed do tomorrow. I can't do tomorrow right now. That would be like wanting to know where to turn when you're leaving Interstate 10, getting onto Interstate 8, when you're still 500 miles from that turn. You don't need to think about it yet. Mm-hmm. What are you thinking about, that turn? Is it coming up? Yeah, in 512 miles. You want to talk about anything else? No, I'm just focusing on that turn. It's beautiful out today, isn't it? Don't talk to me. I'm thinking about, I don't want to lose track of that turn. I don't want to miss that turn. So that's what a lot of you do.
And that's what keeps me up, too.
That's
because I'm trying to, my mind.
You're trying to fix things where you have no power.
And it's trying to watch, am I falling asleep? I really want to fall asleep. Is it happening? Oh, yeah, I'm starting to relax. Good. Oh, but am I falling asleep? You know,
that is what you're doing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So instead, since falling asleep is no longer the conversation that you're having with yourself, mm-hmm. so now you're not asleep, but there isn't anything that you need to do. There's nothing that is being demanded of you. And so now, rather than trying to find a path that is too far down the road, take the path where you're at and just ask yourself, well, how do I feel? How do I feel? Or what thoughts can I think? Since I'm not asleep, maybe I can just think. Maybe I can just think some thoughts. And then start reaching for some thoughts that feel good. And what you'll notice, we've been saying, think about the bed, pretend that it's a sponge and that you're absorbing into it. But some of that just feels silly to you because you know you're not a bubble being absorbed into a sponge. And so those thoughts are not very satisfying. So you have to find some thoughts that just feel good. It's fun to have something that where you're not, that you can think about, but it's not the pressing presence of it or absence of it. In other words, it's not about whether you can actually do anything about what's going to happen tomorrow. It's about finding a thought about anything, yesterday, now, or later, that feels good to you when you're thinking about it. And in order for it to feel good to you, it has to have no resistance in it. So you want to go as general as you can go. You could ask yourself, am I a lover or a hater? Now that's a loaded question, and it might keep you up for a night or two. But am I a lover? But do I like feeling good or do I like feeling bad? Mm-hmm. Do I like the feeling of ease or do I like the feeling of stress? Mm-hmm. Do I like to lie on my back or do I like to lie on my side? Am I more comfortable with my pillow this way or with my pillow this way? Do I like the fragrance of my pillow? Mm-hmm. Oh, I wonder if there are some aromatherapies that I could put on my mm-hmm. pillow. Do I like things that smell good? Are there any things like that I appreciate? Now, these don't feel like world-changing things.
Really general.
But this is the thing that we want you to understand. When you want to go to sleep, that's not when you want to change the world. That'll keep you awake. In other words, trying to do something that you can't do now. So you're wanting to be present in the now. What's my reason for being here? My reason for being here, you don't need sleep. Your body likes rest. Your bodies are resting right now. The reason that you want sleep is because in sleep you stop momentum, which means resistance really slows down while you're sleeping. And that's what you're desperate for. But you can do that whether you're asleep or not. And once you show yourself that, you'll sleep. Oh, Abraham, that sucks. I want to sleep so I won't be resistant, and you're telling me don't be resistant and I'll sleep. And we say, yeah, that really is the way that it is. But then you'll just get the rhythm of it until you know that feeling. You have that feeling where you wake up and you really don't have to get up, and you barely are awake, and you just relax right back into your slumber. That delicious feeling of being almost awake but not really awake, and being able to go right back to sleep. And on the other end of that is being desperate for sleep and not being able to. And so what you're reaching for are just feelings of well-being, feelings of what kind of things feel good. Do you like to put your body in ice cold water? No. Do you like to step into a nice warm bath? Do you like to have a little chill on your body and put on your robe right out of the dryer? Do you like that feeling of that comfortable feeling of that warm clothing on a slight, in other words, you see what we're getting at? Just you're looking for feelings of ease, feelings of being nice to yourself. Do you like the flavor of a really good wine? Or do you like the taste of something that is just so good? In other words, what you're looking for, and it may seem that these things have nothing to do with sleep, but they have everything to do with sleep, because what you're wanting to do is give yourself permission to focus on good feeling things. And as you give yourself permission to focus on good feeling things, now your resistance just subsides and you find yourself in the receptive mode, and then all kinds of good feeling things, and eventually only good feeling things are yours. Really good. You're so much closer to this than you know. Just be easy about it.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you staying awake during this conversation. Good time for a segment of refreshment.